everybody. Today I'm happy to introduce you Diego Garcia, known as the Projekt Gestalten, Brazilian music producer and DJ. Hi, Diego. Can you please tell more about your project, about you as an artist?
Okay, yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so I'm from Brazil, and I started making music in 2003, 2004. But back then I was doing progressive house, tribal, I was not doing techno. And I think, yeah, I stayed there until 2009 or something. And then I started working on cruise ships, you know, like, yeah, because I have a major in visual arts. And then I was working as a photographer in cruise ships. So I stayed like 4 years, basically earning money saving money to move to Europe. And yeah, at first I want to go to London because I want to do my master's there, and they have good programs. But yeah, I went to London and I didn't like the vibes there. It's too much people. Yeah. It's quite similar to São Paulo, and also was very expensive. And I kind of, yeah, in one of my vacations from the ship, I backpacked through Europe, and then I randomly fell into Berlin, and I felt like home. And yeah, at the time it was really cheap, much more cheaper than in London, so I kind of changed my plans. And yeah, I moved to Berlin in 2013, and I've been there ever since. Mm-hmm. And then I changed my sound a little bit, and then yeah, started going to clubs there, so I got influenced by that, and then I started making more techno, a little more faster, and yeah, I've been there for 10 long years.
Yeah, that's exciting way. And the model exchange graduates will have their first performances in a week. So it's very interesting to learn more about the very start of your musical path. And do you remember your first live or DJ set, and how was it for you?
Oh, it was crap.
Okay.
No, the thing is, I was always a producer first, and yeah, that was actually quite challenging for me because I didn't have so much money to get, like, you know, the high-end computer. So I have a really like a Pentium, I think it was Pentium 2 with a Windows XP. I suffered a lot, and I remember I started with Cubase. Mm-hmm. That's the software that I had there. And I think I had like not even one gig of RAM. Seriously, I think I have like 256 megabytes of RAM. It took like a half hour to the VST to load on, and I have to, and sometimes the music would, because the computer was not so fast, so the music would just stop. So I have to export in WAV all the VSTs and re-import, so I have like many channels, many projects, because I couldn't listen to the music. Yeah, so then I started just making productions, and I did a remix in Brazil from this famous, it's like this gay group called Las Bibas from Vizcaya, and they invited me to play the remix as a DJ set, but at that point, I never had like a DJ equipment or anything, so I have a friend who is a DJ who let me practice for one day in turntables and see the DJ, but he has this really old Pioneer one. There's like the jog was super big. Yeah, and it really sucked because I couldn't beat match properly. You cannot learn in a day, you know. I felt that like I could do it, but yeah, I was just clashing the beats. I didn't know how to read the crowd. yeah, but at least it was just for half hour. Nobody recorded anything, so.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that was the beginnings. And then when I started working on cruise ships, I finally had money to get a MacBook Pro, and then I migrated to Logic because it was quite similar, the interface from Cubase to Logic. And then it was, you know, like completely different. I still have this computer today, but I upgrade the motherboard, so it still works really fine, and then I can do much more stuff, and I never have to worry about, you know, like lower CPU or RAM or anything. And then I started making a hybrid live. I have an Ableton and I have an APC 40, and I start playing in Berlin with this hybrid, so live music, but then I would loop with my tracks, other people's tracks, but all loops. And then my loops became bigger and bigger until a point that, okay, I need to learn how to DJ, because also it was very hard to go to clubs and set up, you know, sometimes you don't have space, you have a computer, so it's much easier just to come with a USB stick and just plug it in. Yeah. And I think, yeah, in 2016, a friend of mine, he was, I took over his apartment because he was going to South Africa for 6 months to do like Erasmus or something. And I stayed in his place, and he had like Technics, turntables, and CD DJ. So for 6 months, I practiced DJ set until I felt comfortable, and then I started doing normal DJ sets in 2016 or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the first time, in the first gig, I played, I think, just one record on vinyl, and I remember my hand like the needle going like this, and then. But actually, the transition was perfect because I was so nervous, but at the time I was making sure it was completely beat matched to the song, so I didn't fuck up anything, so yeah. So.
Oh, and it's interesting when you start to feel confident on stage, and maybe you have some tips on this.
Yeah, for me it was just playing and feeling the crowd, you know. Sometimes, you see the people just dancing, like, kind of, and then, okay, I'm gonna play this song, and then let's change a little bit, or maybe going more faster or harder, sometimes more trippy. It really depends of the party. But yeah, I like to do this crowd reading, but sometimes it's very hard to read the crowd, especially from country to country, because some countries people are very culturally quiet, you know. Yeah, like I play in Georgia, and you could hear a pin drop, you know, when the song gets quiet. But people are enjoying, but they don't really scream. They don't, you know. So it was very hard to know if they are liking the songs, the track selection. But in Berlin or in Brazil, people go crazy, so it's very easy to find out. I also like to, you know, depending on the country that I'm going to, you know, like in Brazil, I have special Brazilian remix that I do, and I know people will go crazy. Yeah, if I go to another country, maybe I do like a bootleg remix from obscure song from the country that I'm going to. So yeah, so that's my.
So you prepare your sets based on different like countries, different people. Oh yeah, that's interesting. And do you experience creative beats sometimes between your
creative what?
Beats, like when you don't feel much inspiration for creating something, and maybe.
But you mean in production wise or as a DJ?
In music.
Oh yes, all the time.
All the time. And how you deal with it?
Like it depends. Sometimes I just for instance, I have the idea from my album on my head for maybe 2 years, and I was playing a lot, so I never had time to actually sit down and do anything. And then I remember, then pandemic starts, and for 3 months I just did nothing. It was just because in Germany it was actually quite, they took care of the freelance workers, so they gave a lot of money for, they gave just like 5,000 euro on right on top in the beginning of the pandemic with no questions asked. You just put your so I was basically like, okay, what movie I'm gonna watch today, what I'm gonna cook, and going to the bio market, getting those really expensive shit and stuff. But then I stayed 3 months just cleaning my head, and then after 3 months I was just so inspired that I basically in 1 week I did my whole album, just the structure, and then for the next maybe 6 months I polish the elements. But yeah, sometimes it's good to clear your head and then just watch a movie. Yeah, sometimes you get inspired by something, because I think my music is very cinematic. So I like to get inspired by history or movies and other music too. But yeah, for me it's really good to just clear my head and then just watch a movie and chill.
And when you told about 1 week, you told about this album, The Beast Within.
Yes.
Oh, it's interesting. So in 1 week you created the structures, the main idea.
Yes.
And can you please tell more about your feelings and emotions while during the process of creation of this album?
Yeah, the idea started because I'm really a fan of computer games from the 90s. So there's a computer game called Gabriel Knight, The Beast Within. It is basically, it's like a point-and-click game. It's like a computer game, and it's actually a movie. It's with real actors, and you need to click on stuff on the table, and then you get clues, and then you move through the story. In the game, the story is very complicated. I'm gonna stay here for 3 hours if you know everything it has to do. You can watch the gameplay on YouTube. It's like 14 hours long, the whole situation. But basically, you play as a man, and then you play as his assistant, which is a woman, and then you need to put in their heads, and then so you need to keep changing between a male character and a female character. And my label is about contrasting femininity with masculinity. So I want to do this album, and the music is really good too. And I remember I actually contact the original composer from the game by email, and I explain my idea, and he really liked it, because my original idea, I want to have the original soundtrack remastered on vinyl, but I couldn't get the rights because this company is called Sierra, which is a defunct company from the 90s, and then they got bought by another game company, and then they got bought again by Microsoft. So the composer, he didn't have the rights so I just decided just to get inspired by moments of the game instead of actually do remixes from the original soundtrack. But then I did a remix album from this, but it's only digital. Then I actually did I remixed the soundtrack, the original soundtrack from the game, which was really nice ambient versions. So so that was the idea. It was contrast masculinity with femininity. And so I have techno songs and ambient songs also. And I have 2 aliases, which is Projekt Gestalten, which is my masculine identity, and then the Princess of Death, which is the feminine identity. So that was the idea.
And maybe you can tell us more about two of your identities and about the idea of creating identities and how they work for you in this art world, like how you present yourself through these identities.
Yeah, as Princess of Death, before it was more like industrial stuff that I want to do. But then I changed to ambient, so it's very rare for me to perform as the Princess of Death, and it's more introspective. I don't have social media from this alias. I don't have Facebook or Instagram. For me, it's very just introspective. I just use for the album, and Projekt Gestalten is more dancey and techno, and more like mainstream. So and the idea is to have this really sort of melodic sound as a Projekt Gestalten, and then this more darker sound as the Princess of Death.
So you combine these two sounds, or like separate for different occasions?
Yeah, sometimes. Depend of if I'm doing a remix from someone and I want to go darker, I don't feel the need to change to my other alias. So Projekt Gestalten is more, I can do more stuff. So I even do ambient tracks as Projekt Gestalten too. But I try not to, as Princess of Death, I use more church instruments, like organ and vocals, like choir vocals, and if I using instruments. In the Projekt Gestalten, I can use strings and violins and stuff more that you don't hear, so it's more like cult-like, kind of. I like to play with the idea of religion too.
It's an interesting vector with the church. You told me that your last performance of this album was in church.
Yes.
And how did you decide to perform it this way?
Yes, so for the album, I did a lot of field recordings throughout Berlin, with a microphone. And I went to this church, which is called St. Marienkirche. It's the oldest church of Berlin. And I think it's from the 12th century. And I went there and did some field recordings. And the idea was to do the release party. But then because of the pandemic and stuff, I decided to do later. And I applied for a grant from the Berlin Cultural Office. So they gave me 20,000 euros to do this. So then I could do properly, I could hire a light show, I could pay everyone. And I also want to contrast electronic music and the choir. So I use this queer choir from Berlin. And because there's a lot of choir samples that I use a VST emulator for the album, but I want them to do this live, those parts. So and then when because I couldn't speak German enough because I tried to contact them, the church, by email. They never replied, but my booking agent is German, and he's from East Berlin, and the woman in charge from events was from East Berlin too, so they have like this own accent and stuff. So he called her and then explained, and in one call we say, you can do and it was really special because it was the church that I recorded the sounds. And she say, you can do it here, and it was pretty. When I secured the location, it was easier to get the grant from the Berlin Cultural Office. And then I filmed, I did a documentary. And then I did, it was also nice because I employ a lot of people of color and trans people and queer people, you know, behind the scenes. And you also have, we have a donation there for, that I donated for actually Ukraine Pride here in Ukraine, and also from shelter in Brazil, a queer shelter that cares for transgender women. So yeah, I split the money. So yeah, there was the charity aspect too. There was really interesting.
And it's for me, it seems like it's not just music, but the whole concept around it, the whole world that you created, and it's really awesome.
Yeah, that's why my name is Projekt Gestalten. Is a German word, but it also means the Gestalt psychology. The Gestalt theory is like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So basically, for you to understand something, you need to step back and see the whole picture and not specific parts. Actually, I learned this in visual arts university. Yeah, because we have this applied to visual arts, you know, that you have shapes and sizes, and then you step back and then you see another form and stuff. So yeah, but then you can apply this in a greater level.
Yeah, it's interesting, and this education of graphic design, is it influences somehow your music practice?
Oh yeah, totally. Totally. I think for me, I like the practical lessons, but for me it's more like theoretical, because we have like classes in cultural anthropology, psychology, you know. So yeah, it's very nice to conceptualize my ideas. You know, when I need to write grants, proposals, I use the same template that I use to do my, academic articles and stuff like this. So yeah, it influences a lot, but I don't see myself working as a graphic designer commercially. I tried this in Brazil, but for me it's very, I don't know, it's just boring work for me, you know, to do. So I use my graphic design just for my label. Yeah, so my friend did illustration, but I did the coloring of the artwork and stuff, so yeah.
Thank you for sharing this your experience, and it's amazing that you have also a label, and it's interesting to learn more. Maybe you have some tips for young musicians how to create this image of artist, how to collaborate with labels, how to create this artistic path, how to build it for those who just start.
You mean just to get released on other labels?
Yeah, how to present like ourselves as artists.
Yeah, I think you need to be really respectful the way you approach labels. Sometimes I get some DMs of people saying, "Oh my God, I never got any. I tried to get my music released, and I never have any luck. You know, please help me. You know, I deserve to be happy." It's like, yeah, but it's not my obligation for your happiness. You know. So some people feel a little entitled, but for me, I don't like to release music with people that I never met in my life, because I have bad experiences with labels back in Brazil. That I release music and then they basically just release the track and don't give you any statements or like sales statements. They basically just run with it and then keep re-releasing the song every 6 months on Beatport or something. And so I like to approach people organically, you know. I like to know, but I actually don't approach people, okay, that person has a label, let's be friends with that person, you know. I like to, I like going out to clubs and stuff, and then, making friends, and then going organically. But also, if you want, is not, I don't think it's disrespectful to approach labels, you know. If you, especially because I am in Berlin, so it's very, you know, everybody goes to Berlin, but it's a different situation here. You know, that you don't meet so many people that are not from Ukraine coming here. So, I think it's okay to send email. Don't send a DM, because the labels usually have a demo email that you can send. Then send maybe 3 or 4 tracks maximum. Don't send like 20 tracks, you know. And I like to, I think it's nice to create like having tracks that goes with each other, not like completely different tracks, having like a consistency in the tracks. And then some people will say no, some people, but maybe if you send to a lot of people, someone might say yes.
Thank you. And maybe you also have some tips on developing musicians' own authenticity and your own style, how to get everything in like to shape everything.
Yeah, for me, I don't like going into the trends. For instance, I don't know here, but in Europe, there's this hard trends going on that is really fast and I cannot dance anymore because like 170 BPM and just go. So I don't like going through. I like to have my sound, even if the person before me is playing super fast. I like to play a little slower, and I like to keep I think you need to find the sound that you most identify with, and just stick with it. Sometimes I put like a track that I might not play in another place, you know. Sometimes you can go a little bit outside your style too, but don't follow trends. I think that's my just do your own stuff, you know.
And how do you think, is it better to stick to one style or somehow to mix styles together?
Oh no, I like to mix everything, because as I say before, I was doing progressive house, tribal, so sometimes I put a track, you know, in the middle of the techno set, I put like a progressive house track, and then I go back again to techno. I like doing this, but I don't like to overdo it. So I want to play 5 progressive house tracks one after another, you know, and I like to put in specific parts of my sets.
And do you have any role models or musicians that inspired you a lot?
Not really. For me, it's like, I like people, but for me, it's like everybody has an off day, you know. So it's not like, you know. I hear I have some DJs that I really like, but sometimes, you know, it depends. You know, you sometimes have a bad day, and then you know, it's not like every single time that you see them, it's going to be amazing. So I don't. But I think one project that I really love is a Polar Inertia. You know, they are French, and I really like because the project is very cinematic, and it's very. They usually play live, and every single EP there's this spoken word track that is a part of the story. And it's about 2 children, I think twin children, and they are like paranormal, and then they're in this government facility, and they are running away from the government, and they're going to the North Pole, and then every single EP there's a piece of this story, and it's so nice. And so yeah, they actually release just EP for, I think, Northern Electronics. But they usually release on Demented. But yeah, I really like Polar Inertia. Yeah, and they know me, so they actually, when they announced the EP, I say, oh, I can't wait for, and then they already sent to me, before, so I got the chance to listen before everybody else, which was, was pretty special. Yeah.
And maybe you have some musicians you would love to make future track together. Is there any artist?
Yeah, I never thought about that. Because actually I never collaborated on a track with someone else. But it would be nice, actually. Yeah, but I never thought about it. I don't want to make names because, I think if I mention one, the other person, you didn't mention me.
So you just didn't have this experience of collaborating, but you would love to.
Yeah, I did like remixes for people, but a collaboration on an original track I never did.
Okay, thank you. And maybe you can tell us about your workflow and how you divide your work into stages.
Yeah,
like creating, for example, creating a track or the whole album.
Yeah.
How the processes go.
Yeah, I like to have a concept before. As I say, I get inspired by a video game or a movie or something. And yeah, I like to create. Now I have Prophet Rev 2, which is a synthesizer, a really big synthesizer with keys. So for me, it's easier than, because before I have to go with VSTs, I have to put like the blocks, and then that would really hold me back, because it would take me hours to do an arrangement. And that, with the keys, I just go, even though I'm not classic trained. So yeah, but I can play some chords. And yeah, so I, make the bass of the track, maybe do the beats, and yeah, I go layering everything until I have like a groove, and then I just expand this to have a whole track like sequencing. Yeah, but I don't use Ableton. I always use Logic, because for me, I never got used to the workflow of Ableton. And then since I have this background in visual arts, then I think about, visually what I want for the track. And yeah, and then I have my illustrator guy, then I tell him exactly what to do, and then he extrapolate this idea and do something even bigger than I thought. Then he got back to me, and then I do the coloring of everything, putting the visual identity of my label. Yeah, then I sent to press.
So as I understand, your process is not really like logical and structured, but more in insertion of
because sometimes, because sometimes I don't have a studio outside all my equipment is in my apartment, because I have, I'm usually more creative during the nights. So like 3 in the morning, I just take the headphones, and then I start making music. So I cannot do this if I have a studio. I don't like to go out, and I don't like to commute too. Like going to, and also I heard a lot of break-ins in studio in Berlin. So I would be really paranoid, someone breaking and taking my stuff away. So yeah, for me it's easier, and I have more. Yeah, my workflow is usually in the night. But I don't have this thing of, I need to be in the studio, I need to make music from this time to this time. I just chill, and then if I have an idea, I just go and to the equipment, and then I do what I have to do. But sometimes like 3 in the morning.
Wow, it seems like very comfy to have everything in your apartment.
Yes.
And maybe you have your favorite plugins or instruments.
Plugins. I really like the native ones from Logic, because I have the original one that is really big and comes with all the native plugins from Logic. But I also, because I like strings, so I have this one's called, I think it's called London Orchestra, or something that's really heavy and really, they record every single section separately. So I like to use this one. But I like to use, now I'm more into my Prophets Rev 2, which is a big synthesizer. And I also have an octa track that I use to play live now. But I also like to run through MIDI, like sync with Logic, and then I can do the beats faster. So I use it as a drum machine when I'm producing. And I also have a 303 clone. It's called Cyclone Bass Boots, which is an analog clone from the 303, and it's really good actually. Actually, so good that Roland actually sued them because the design is completely the same. So they did a second version, which they have to change the design a little bit. But I have the first one, that is basically, the 303. But I pay 400 euros.
And do you have any tips on mixing?
Mixing. For me, I like when I do a track, I like to listen, on a good sound system, but I also like to listen in a crappy, sound system too. I like to listen on my computer, on the computer phone speakers too, because if it's good on a crappy sound system, it's a good mix. If you can hear all the elements of the track on a crappy sound system, it's gonna be a good mix. So for me, I like to listen with the crappy headphones too, good headphones, and for me, I like use automation a lot. I like to use. Before I used to have a lot of channels, like maybe 30 channels. And now I like to take out something, to take some elements and be most minimalistic as I can, but without losing the textures and essence of the track. So I always try to take something out that I'm not, that is extra, that it doesn't make sense to have. Yeah,
me too. Because sometimes it's really trashed out, and it's complicated to...
it's easy to carry over and then just put a lot of stuff on the top of the other, but then you say, do I really need this stuff here? Do I need this bass line? Maybe just a little lower. So,
And what about sound engineering? Do you collaborate with someone, and how do you find these people with who you want to collaborate?
I'm not a sound engineer, so I don't do any of that. But if I'm doing a bootleg remix that I'm not going to sell or anything, I have like a fake mastering I use the Ozone, which is like this mastering plugin And yeah, I do like this fake mastering that with the limiter and stuff. But this is only if I do like a bootleg remix, something that I just gonna play myself. And yeah, and for this I like to listen like a reference track that is maybe the same vibe as the track that I produce, and then put the frequencies like equalizing to a quite similar level from the other track. So when I play in a club, it's not going to be the difference, not going to be that great. But for my actual mastering from stuff that I release, I have one sound engineer, which is Inland at Davenport. Yeah, and he's been my friend for 10 years. I always, he's actually a really good DJ. I always saw him playing in Berkheim for, the closing sets. Yeah, we meet there for 10 years before. Yeah, and he's a super sweet guy, and then he does the mastering for me when I need for, and he also does for the vinyl as well. That you need a separate mastering for vinyl. So yeah, I like to work with him. Sometimes the labels that I release, if I release a separate track, they have their own mastering. Sometimes it's good, but I like that he gives a very fat sounds, for me. So if I have the chance, if I have the option, I always choose him.
And imagine if you need a sound engineer like right now, not your friend, but someone new. How would you find the right person? How would you?
I know some sound engineers, and then I listen to their work and see, if what they do on the tracks, if it's the same style. I think I will look for someone that has experience with melodic techno. But if you do another style, you need to go with someone that has experience mixing the type of style that you produce.
Thank you. And what about music you collect for your DJ sets? How do you find the right tracks?
Yeah, so actually I receive a lot of promos on my email. I think I receive like 300 promos a week, so I don't even have time to listen to everything. But if I listen 50 tracks, I would like maybe 5 of those tracks. So it's a very long time that I need to spend listening to those tracks. But I also like to buy a lot of vinyl, so I like going to shops. But I don't like to buy new vinyls. I like to go to the discount box that is hidden on the it's like €1 box, and then you always find some good gems there, but you need to really dig into it. And also, if I listen 20 records, I'm gonna like 2 or 3. And but I also like I buy tracks as well. So digitally, I like to buy on Bandcamp, because I think is the platform that right now most the money goes, the producer or the label has more profits from. And I buy a lot of tracks through Bandcamp. But so I see what like a friend is doing, and then I go similar artists, and then I just deep dive into it.
So Bandcamp is like the main vinyl stores, and Bandcamp.
Yes, and the promo. But the promo is really I listen maybe once a month.
So promo.
Because it's just too much. It's just too much.
Oh yeah.
It's too much, and then also I don't know how they get my email, but most of the stuff is not really my anything. I even receive like reggae promos. which is really nice, you know, if he's smoking a joint or something, but for, you know, for playing, I'm never gonna play that. But yeah.
Yeah, and promo, you mean like people wrote you with their...
No, the labels, they send, they have a promo pool with a lot of emails, and they send this to all the DJs, and they send the release before it hits the markets. So yeah, this is the promo, that's called promo. And then, yeah, you have the track maybe, and that's what I like about promos, because maybe you have a track that's gonna be released in 2 months or so, and then you can play before, yeah, which is really nice. But as I say, there's a lot of stuff there, a lot of different styles, so not everything is the right fit. And as I say, right now it's very fast, so yeah, I have promos with 180 BPM, you know, GABA things, which I'm not going to play. So yeah, you need to really go deep and see.
Yeah, seems like a hard work to listen to all of that.
Yeah.
And I also have my own question here about your inspiration. During our conversation, you tell about movies.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell about genres or some specific movies, or maybe not only movies, but also music or things that inspired your music.
Yeah, I have an EP that I released also on vinyl, but not on my label. That I took inspiration from this documentary, a Brazilian documentary about this woman. You know what a landfill is? Landfill? Yeah, this is like an island of trash.
Yes.
All the trash gets, and this woman, she basically makes a living out of the trash, but she's not obligated. You know, she has like some mental problems. The family wants her to stop working on there, but she just goes there, and because she really loved the place. And then, but she also thinks she has a goddess inside her, which is called Stamira, and she thinks that she thinks that she can control the weather. That she, you know, when she gets angry, they're gonna have like lighting bulbs, and you know, it's very intense documentary. And there's one scene that she takes this broken phone, and she starts speaking her own language. It's like, and you don't know what she's saying. And I sampled this part, and then I did a track.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it's really, so yeah, I like doing this, you know, like references it's going to be only clear to me. Nobody else is going to know what it's about. And, you know, and there's also a track, it's called Until Heaven Itself Goes Angry, which is basically a reference in a letter. You know, during the, I think the 19th century, the UK was smuggling opium to China. You know, this is very, they don't teach this in English school because it's basically expose them as drug dealers. And the assistant of the Emperor of China, he wrote a letter to the Queen of England, Queen Victoria, saying, you know, you need to stop this, you know, until heaven itself goes angry. And I like this word, and then I use this, and I put like these Chinese instruments into it, you know. So yeah, like this hidden references, like Easter eggs. There's just clear to you, you know. So yeah, this is my process, you know. I just like some words maybe, or some stuff from history or from a movie. Maybe I sample this, and yeah. And also I have one, do you know this movie called Dogville?
Dogville, oh yeah.
Which is a very dark movie by Lars von Trier. And I sampled the final monologue, because the movie, there's a narration, and then there's like, you know, there was a change of lights, and then she saw, and the light goes in the people, and then then she has this epiphany that she needs to kill everyone in the city. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I spoiled the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have this song called "Changes of Light." I never released actually because I don't know, some stuff I still didn't find the right context. So it's still unreleased, those tracks. Mm-hmm. But yeah, sometimes I just sample like dialogues from movies, but then I do like reverb and delay. You cannot really understand what they are saying, but you just have this voice going around. Yeah.
Yeah, but there is an inner structure of
Yes.
track, your story you
Yeah.
put in it.
Yeah, that is only clear to me. Like I'm the only person.
Wow.
Yeah, but if you ask me around, I would say, but.
And a technical question here, how do you sample pieces from movies? Like how do you get this material?
It depends, because if I have the DVD or something, it's easier to extract the audio.
Yeah.
Sometimes depending, if you're going to put a lot of effects and stuff, is even you can get from YouTube some parts, but then I don't like to use the clear sample. Actually I don't like sampling other tracks or stuff. I just sample voices and stuff. But even that, if you put like reverb, and if it's the audio is clear, there's no sounds anywhere, you can just have, you put like reverb and delay, some effects and compression, and you can extract even from YouTube and stuff like this. But if it's like a vinyl release or something, I'd rather have, from the DVD or something a little more, the sound quality is better.
And I remember one more question. I listened to your album yesterday, and in several tracks I heard like beast breathing, like heavy breathing or howling, and I was wondering, how did you create these sounds?
Oh, this is my voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I take a microphone and then I just start breathing, and then I pitch down my voice and then put those effects and compression, and this is my voice. But there's one sample that I actually from the game, and the thing is, would be true because I would have to extract the whole 14 hours, and this would take too long. So I took the original game and put on my monitors, my sound monitors, and then I took my microphone, not this microphone to sing, the
field recorder.
The field recorder. I put on the speakers, and then I use that, and then I put some effects and stuff, because it would be too much work and then the sound quality would be even not so good. So it was better to record from this output, because in the game the sound is, the quality is a little better.
Wow, your techniques are really interesting. Thank you for sharing. So now I think we can listen for your questions if you have ones. Yeah.
When or how you decide to play live set or DJ set?
Yeah, I start with the live set actually, and then for me it was a natural transition, because as I say, it was just some clubs don't have the structure not the space to have like the equipment and stuff. So I think I play this hybrid live with my computer in Ableton from 2012 until 2016. And then from 2016 onwards, I start playing only DJ sets. And now I got back to live because now I have an octa track. Because also I don't like the computer, because in the club, the computer is so bright, and then you just get locked in this, and then you cannot see anything anywhere. So for me, it was very hard to have like the computer there. So with the octa track, you have the lights, but everything's still dark, and you can connect more with the audience. So, but it's still, as a live set, I didn't perform so often yet. So I'm still working on some stuff. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome.
Hi there. So I have a few questions. So the first one, through the course of the lecture, you have mentioned several times that you are highly into some cinematic movies, you know, and video games too, and also you have a strong background, solid background as a visual artist. So I'm just very curious about the theme of interception of these areas of arts, you know, this a theme that is explored through the history of humanity, like how can you convey similar ideas through different mediums, like, you know, like through the visual art, through the music, through the cinema. And I want to know more about your perception of the sound, maybe the philosophy behind it, how you can convey the same vibe you have like seen somewhere, you know, or experienced in some other way. How do you transpose it to the sound, right? And the second question is quite the same, you know, there's an old saying that goes like, the most important thing in a writer is his head, which basically means that the visual perception or appearance is influence how we perceive the original, you know, the product. So I want to know more about the visual conception behind the covers of your album. How do you come with that? And also the names of the tracks, even, because, you know, you can change the name of the track and it feels totally different. So there's two questions. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very, very deep question. So, yeah, visually speaking, yeah, my background in graphic design really helped a lot, because as I say, I have a lot of classes in cultural anthropology, psychology of perception, and all this stuff. So for me, color theory, and this you cannot teach on you cannot download a YouTube tutorial in this. You know, you can only learn in a classroom. So for me, this was really helpful in order to, you know, conceptualize my work, to organize in my head stuff. So when I make a music, I'm already, you know, processing how I'm gonna combine this. You know, I have a track that is actually a Ukrainian track that I'm gonna play tomorrow. That I'm still not going to say anything, but yeah, actually, it's going to be released. It was a bootleg remix, but now it's going to be. I contact the label, and it's going to be released as official remix. You know, and actually for the artwork, I used this pattern here. I took a photograph of this, and then I used this patchwork because I'm going to donate the money to Ukraine from Ukraine Pride. So I want to have these colors of Ukraine. So yeah, I used the artwork from this on the cover. So yeah, so for me this is the thing. I was creating the track and I was already thinking, you know, how can I, you know, transpose this to visual. So yeah, so that's the first part. And the second part, what's?
Second part was about the naming of your tracks and the production of your covers, because I have noticed that most of your albums are trying to convey some kind of story, you know?
Yes.
And this
specific to my album.
Yep. Yeah. And those names are for me crucial, you know, in the perception of the sound itself, because you just get in those vibe you want to experience then, and how do you like treat those part of your work?
Yeah, sometimes there's some tracks that I put some titles, but then I listen and I say, this is not quite it. So sometimes I change the titles on the fly, depending, but specific to the album, like the first track is the name of the game. The second one is called Trance. So basically there's another track from the composer of the original game, which is called Trance, and then I use the same key that he used, and then was basically just an extrapolation of the original track. And this one is called Trial Execution of the Black Wolf, because there's in the story, it's basically about a supernatural, like a werewolf that's killing people in Munich, and then in the end, the story gets intertwined with King Ludwig, which is this crazy king that got crazy, and then he built a lot of castles throughout Bavaria. And yeah, the Black Wolf, it was this werewolf that was killing people in I think like 300 years ago, and they did a trial there and then killed this guy, and then his son is actually the guy who is the bad guy in the game. Basically, he's tried to get a revenge on the death of his father. And yeah, when the Saints Go Marching In, this is actually a version of this track from New Orleans. It's like a gospel song, like when the Saints go marching in. And they have this song as because this game has 3 parts, and all these 3 parts have the same song in a different way. So I want to do a version of this song that is more darker. Yeah, this Pray to Be Undone is actually a line of the game that he's trying to hunt down the werewolf, and then he says something like, "Oh yeah, this is Pray to Be Undone." You know, it's like a poem that he say. Yeah, the Shrine Revelation is a specific scene from the game, which is basically the assistant of the main character. She goes to this church and she prays to the Black Madonna to give her like an idea how to get away from the situation. And there's one part of this in the original game that when she gets a message from the Black Madonna, there's like, oh, and then she looks like this, and then I use this. I didn't sample, but I used this in the end, like, oh, with the same choir, with a choir. Yeah, the Curse of Engelhardt is actually the name of the opera, because in the game you find a lost opera by Wagner on the castle. It's like really complicated. It's really interesting, the game, but yeah, it's like a lot of information. And yeah, so it's basically my version of the opera. And the curse shatter is when they break the curse, you know, they kill the werewolf, and then the curse is broken. So the song has this crescendo, like really dark, and goes, yeah, and break the curse. And the last songs, actually, yeah, I combine my 2 aliases, because it's still ambient, but it's still very melodic. And yeah, Requiem for the Swan King was King Ludwig. It was one of the names that he was known for. So it's basically, yeah, you know, because in the game he's like this, he got seduced by this werewolf too, and then he's driven to madness, and he actually is a real. The story of him is real. There was a coup, and then they removed him from power, and they put him in a nut house, and then he was found drowning in a river. And yeah, but in the game it was because he was with a werewolf. But yeah, so this is a Requiem track for, yeah, so this is basically the idea. But sometimes, yeah, I have some idea, and then I put a name of the track, and then I say, yeah, this is not sounds too dramatic or something, and then I just change, or maybe I have an idea for one sound for a title, and then I work in another track, and I say, actually, this sounds more with the other track, and then I swap. Yeah.
Can I add a little bit to this conversation?
Yes.
When I heard how much of a story is behind of this album, I would love to re-listen and like with all of this information. And I suggest that it's so new perception, like from the first one. And here is my question: how do you think? Should we, as an artist, to describe more about our albums, about our tracks? Because for me, it would be really interesting to go to your website and read through the story, through all of your things you was inspired by. But I don't know if this information is available on the internet.
Yeah, on Bandcamp I have like a promo text, but it's very, it's very concise. It's not really, it explains a lot. So, but there I put all the references, the game, so you can also do, watch the game on YouTube and stuff like this. But on the promo test, I usually put a lot of information. And also, when I'm doing press and stuff, I can do interviews and talk more about it. From the church performance, is on YouTube, the full performance, but also there's a documentary where I explain also more stuff in the documentary. So there's a lot of stuff, but you need to do a little research a little bit, but I put some stuff on my Bandcamp release and all those stories. But I also don't like to put so much information, because sometimes I also like the music to do, like how you feel, So I like the music also to do the storytelling too. But it's nice when you have information too about a song.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't know that it is so much connected with the game, so it's just so interesting for me now. Thank you. Yeah. Maybe more questions?
Yeah, I have another one. You have also mentioned that you had experience of playing your own DJ set in the church. Am I right?
That was a live
set. Yeah, and that seemed that sparks interest in me because, there's I don't know. I see some strong ideological or philosophical idea behind it, like playing an electronical music in places like that may seem like some kind of grotesque or any other way. So how do you think about it? So it's a what is the meaning behind it, or it just was a more personal story for you because there was the church that you have made field recordings on? Yes, but I have also seen some other artists that explore the same scene, the intersection of religion themes and electronic music, and it's quite interesting. It's on the cutting edge of, I think, some kind of our modern contemporary world, and I want to know more from you about it.
Yeah, actually there's a story about this that is apart from the game, because I grew up, my mom is a Protestant, so she and then she took me to exorcism sessions at some point, so I have a very trouble relation with religion. Actually also I've been to some Orthodox churches in around Eastern Europe, and also I can see the look on their eyes, so for me it was about occupying a space where queer people was not welcome a few, even decades before. So this church is very progressive, so they knew there was a queer event and they were completely fine with it. And still a church is not like secularized or anything, still they have masses on and I want to occupy those spaces and sort of kind of put this whole idea of negativity. I want to have a good experience in the church. So that was, every time I see that church, I smile, like, because I know, it was a very great night in there. And yeah, so that's the idea, like kind of putting good terms like Christianity.
So that was like some kind of ideological attack on church, so like liberating this place, from old meanings and taking new ones to them, because I can't also imagine something like this happening in Ukraine. I think we are quite orthodox in this way, and do you think this is like some kind thing that should be left in the past and it's okay, or it's maybe some kind of extraordinarily artistic exploration and there just stops here, just maybe we can do more things just playing electronic music in church,
Yeah, I don't see it as an attack to the church, because I try to be as respectful as possible. I only attack if they attack me, kind of way. So for me, it's not really about like fuck off. I'm gonna, I try to be really respectful about. But I know, like, because as I say, this is a Protestant church, but they are more progressive in Germany. But I know, like, Orthodox church here is much more orthodox, so it's not really, I don't know, for me, I don't think is, I mean, I don't agree with everything. Like, my mom is still Christian, but now she's completely fine, with my lifestyle and everything. She still goes to church, but she knows how to, compartmentalize, and so for me, yeah, I don't have this, after this show, actually, I was much more chill with Christianity, but even with other religions, I try to be as respectful as possible, but yeah, I don't know if I could ever do this on an Orthodox church. Maybe it's like secularized or something. But actually, the Orthodox church, they have this really, like, dress, like, for the priests and stuff that is quite beautiful. I actually would use it if I could find some way, but yeah.
I get it that you, like, do a lot of sampling from video games. Yeah, is that right? So do you like have different levels of intimacy with the source material? Like whenever you're using this sample here or that sample there, and you said that you use the choir from that thing. Do you maybe using some like monster sounds as a percussion, like the snares here and there, or some interesting other uses? What's your like approach to sampling, basically?
Okay, yeah. If I know the material that I am getting inspired by, you mean? Yeah, yeah, when it comes to games, yeah, because I played those games since the 90s, so I'm really, for me, it's very. I'm really familiar with this, but there's some stuff, some references that I use that's not, are not a very, I didn't do like a super profound research, you know. It's something maybe it's a reference that I read in a letter, or yeah, like a Wikipedia article that you know, but that doesn't mean that I know and I understand everything that it should be about a specific story or a subject. But yeah, depends. Now I'm doing an EP that I'm getting inspired by the daughter of Cleopatra. And she basically, when Cleopatra died, basically the emperor of Rome took them to Rome to be slaves. And they came there was like a triumphant parade, and then they were like with golden chains and chain as a prisoners, and this actually create a different effect, because the people took pity on those children, and the emperor changed his mind and decided to create them as their children. So yeah, I use those references, you know, like, but I'm not a profound study of Cleopatra, or, you know, I just read some stories, some articles and stuff, and then I'm trying to get like a sound of this mood.
I would like to ask you, what is so special between electronic music and queer culture? Why are they bonding together so well?
Well, electronic music, I think, it started with queer culture, and also Latin, brown, and black people in the United States. So for me, yeah, I think it's really important to take it back, because not that I have a problem with, but I think it's nice to have different types of people in different parties. But sometimes I see too often like this straight white DJs playing in queer parties, which is super fine. But then when you have just a whole lineup of, you know, straight DJs playing a queer party, for me is a little, you know, just, you know, have some women, you know, have some, you know, have some black people, have some people of color, you know. So I think this diversity is very important. So for me, yeah, because we start this shit, so for me that's, yeah, really important. But yeah, I like some cute, straight, white guys, you know, they're cute, you know, they can have some one or two.
So if no one has questions, I would love to thank you for being here with us, for sharing your experience and your techniques and your thoughts and ideas. So yeah, we are happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you all for having me, and also I have a copy for each one of you. I can sign if you want, but if I die before you and you sell on Discogs, I'll come back from the beyond to hunt you down. Yeah, thank you for coming.